I'm Jack Beecham. I'm here with Chin Track Days here at Circuit of the Americas, brought to you by FinSpeed Racing and W2W of Racing. We've got one of our clients here who happens to have a really cool car. It is a Porsche Taycan, the first one that we have seen so far. And we had a really interesting opportunity to go for a ride in it this morning, and I believe he's actually going to take you for a ride this afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you, Sanjay, and thank you. I really appreciate it, by the way. So you guys do driving schools and you guys go to different locations, right?
Absolutely. Take drivers of all skill levels. All types of vehicles are welcome. We happen to see electric vehicles quite often. Teslas are quite popular actually out in the Atlanta market. But it's really cool to see that, you know, even after we might move away from fossil fuels in the future, there's still going to be fun cars for us to drive.
So I'm here with Sanjay, an owner of a Porsche Taycan, and he just did a couple of hot laps, and how'd it go?
It does really well for about 6 or 7 laps. It manages the weight really well. On the back straight, it's got tremendous power. It can actually stop, even though it weighs 5,400 pounds with me in it.
Right.
But it did extremely well. But after about 5 or 6 laps, then as the state of charge goes down, then it starts to lose a little bit of power like all EVs do.
Sure.
I ran in the morning, and then I charged it all day at the RV station and drove my other car on track all day. And then just now for the evening session, it had enough charge to run another session in the evening.
So is there any fast charging infrastructure?
No,
not yet.
There's only a 40 amp, 220 volt 40 amp at the RV
And
car.
took you how long to charge up?
So I went from 34% charge to 88% in about 6 hours. So for first run group in the morning and last run group in the evening.
Gotcha. So a lot of debate about the range and the 200 miles. Did that bug you when you were?
I was a little worried about that, but that's completely BS. So the car has the same range as my Tesla did before it. I drove it here from Houston. 160 plus miles at very illegal speeds. This isn't, I won't say how much, but I got here with 20% range left, just like I do in my Tesla.
Really?
So it actually has 250 mile range easily.
Gotcha.
And when you're going fast, it's still 200. And part of that is the 2-speed gearbox.
Yeah. What car were you driving while this was charging?
Senna, McLaren.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we're talking a Senna.
Yeah. Well,
that's hard to compare with.
Compared to other, you can't compare it to Senna, but compared to other 4-doors, like
sure.
I had a Model 3 Performance out here.
Like how about like a Panamera or like anything in its class? Is it like?
It's very similar. It's just you can't run that many laps because of the battery charge, but no, it handles really well. You would not know it's 5,000 pounds, except when you're braking, but it still stops. Like it's got massive
look at these brakes, massive.
The Tesla brakes don't last that long. Like after a couple of laps, they fade away. They're not.
Are these ceramic? What are they?
This is the Turbo S has ceramic. These are just regular steel brakes, but they're huge.
They're massive. Yeah. How big are the rims?
20s.
20s.
So the wheels, the brakes are like 15s probably. But I mean, on the back straight, you just stand and it just stops from 100 plus easily.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it did well.
I'm so glad you pulled in. I'm sure like everyone's just kind of crowded around right now.
I just figured I'd pull in and talk to people here. So yeah.
Dude, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking some time.
Problem.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this car, we're up to 87% now. So
All
that
right.
should be enough for about 7 or 8 good laps.
Where do you keep it around 90?
100.
You go
Yeah,
full?
it's not like a Tesla. You can actually charge it to 100 every time. I think it has enough reserve built in, so you don't have to hold your armband up.
All right, so before we get back to the action, let's talk Porsche Taycan. We've made this video before. We talked about the efficiency part about it. But in terms of driving it, boy, does it go. It is an amazing thing to behold. If you haven't driven one, find a way to drive one. It'll probably change your perspective on it. And before we talk about Tesla versus Porsche, as if that's how we should be thinking about this, let's remember Tesla's mission statement. Their mission statement is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And the Porsche Taycan is proof of that happening. Before Tesla, 15 years ago, this car doesn't get built. But what Tesla has done is made it so cool and desirable to be electric that Porsche and others are going to jump in as well. So let's talk about some of the different kinds of buyers we'll have to convince to buy cars if we want the EV revolution to happen. First, everyday practical commuters. We've already got them covered. Tesla's got tons of cars and so do others. That's an easy one. Truck people. That's tougher. Tesla has the Model X, which is an SUV, but the Cybertruck, I think, will win over the hearts and minds of truck people. And don't forget, Rivian's got the SUV and the pickup truck as well. In the same way, the race car is another one of those things that people love. Sanjay, our good friend who we met, who was kind enough to take us out and spend some time with him on the track, loves race cars. He brought a McLaren Senna and a Porsche Taycan to the track. People who love cars and racing cars, that's another segment of the market that we need to win over. And the Porsche Taycan is our first real attempt at doing that. The Tesla Roadster will be the next, and that'll be epic until it comes out. But the Taycan is a really big step in the right direction. And let's give it respect and credit where it's deserved. This is a proper race car. It has racing tech, it has huge wheels and brakes. It has active roll bars, which are motors that help control the flex of each part of the suspension to eliminate body roll. Amazing stuff that future Teslas will have. It also has a 2-speed gearbox to allow for better early on 0 to 100 mile an hour kind of performance, but also not to fall off and to perform well above 100 miles an hour. Now there are some challenges. Sanjay mentioned that around 30% state of charge, that the power output was degraded. And now this will happen to our Teslas as well. If you notice your battery's around 20 or 15%, you'll notice the dots on the right side of the charge and discharge line, and that means that the maximum power output isn't available. And this is a safety measure that when the battery voltage has dropped to a certain level to prevent over discharging and to keep the batteries safe. But these are just the early parts of how racing EVs is going to go. And there is generally an excitement about this. The final little challenge that Sanjay had was charging it. He took 6 hours to charge an RV campground spot because the Circuit of Americas doesn't really have DC fast charging yet. But Sanjay is the first Porsche owner, and there'll be more. And when more people have EVs and Roadsters and Taycans, they will build this out. Imagine if every garage had a DC fast charging slot. You run a couple of laps, you come home, grab a sandwich, go to the restroom, and your car is charged and ready to rock. That will happen. And we're watching the beginning of a whole new era of the super and hypercar EVs. So if you're anything like us, you should be excited. This is really awesome stuff. Porsche, if you want us to get your hands on a Taycan, give us a shout. We'd love to do that. But yeah, let's get back to the action.
With you and me in the car, this is 5,600 pounds. I mean, this is
right.
Like F-150 crew cabin. You know, this will hang with the Senna for maybe 50 feet. It'll beat it, and then after that, the Senna will leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Hell of a ride. All right, so we're gonna go. So I'm gonna go before we. All right, so before we get back to the action, it's something else. Okay. So before we begin, we've already begun. This is halfway in it.